My beloved child, stop scrolling. Listen, because what you are about to hear is not just another word. It is your final warning wrapped in mercy. I have spoken in whispers, I have waited in silence, but this moment, this very breath, is the last pause before the heavens shift and the door you've delayed at begins to close. You've begged for confirmation. Here it is. The storm around you is real, but so is the rescue I've prepared. What you do right now will echo through eternity. This is not just a video. This is your wake-up call. This is your crossroads. This is your holy ground. Don't wait for lightning. This is the light. I am speaking. Not softly, not later. Now. Will you respond, or will you delay yourself out of destiny? Watch until the end, because the next 60 seconds might be the difference between breakthrough and bondage. Everything around you might look the same, but something in the spiritual realm is shifting. I am giving you this one last opening to listen. Not later, not someday, but now. The path you choose in this moment will not just influence the hours ahead, it will define your future and echo into eternity. I've tried gently, I've tried quietly, and I've waited patiently. But this is the line I've drawn out of mercy. You are standing on holy ground, on the edge of change, and my voice is reaching you, not as a whisper anymore, but as a cry from heaven. The enemy wants you to believe this is just another inspirational moment, or an emotional surge that will pass. But I tell you, this is my final alert. You can't outrun what's coming, but you can outgrow what's holding you back. You are not made to survive in cycles of compromise. You were created to rise in obedience and destiny. I am not threatening you. I am loving you loudly, desperately, one more time, because I know what is ahead, and I can't let you walk into it blind. There is still mercy in my voice, but the time to delay has expired. Don't let comfort deceive you. This is your wake-up call. This is your open door. This is your last chance before the shaking begins, and I don't want to move forward without you prepared. My beloved child, this is your final moment before everything changes. I have stood in silence as you paused in front of the very door I opened with my own hands. Your name etched into the wood, your purpose sealed on the threshold, your freedom waiting on the other side. I've seen your heart tremble with indecision, weighed down by fears, doubts, and what-ifs. You've stood there with one foot in faith and the other chained to comfort, unsure whether to leap or linger. I've never once turned away from you while you wrestled with the choice, but I need you to know something crucial now. This door wasn't built to remain open forever. It was a moment crafted in mercy, a specific season carved into time for your awakening. I opened it, not because you earned it, but because I love you. I held it open through storms of rebellion, through seasons where you ignored me, through distractions you allowed to dominate your life. I waited while you flirted with temptation, while you silenced conviction with noise, while you questioned if you were even worthy to walk through what I prepared for you. And even when your hesitation turned into delay and delay into disobedience, I didn't close it because I knew what was waiting on the other side: healing, restoration, alignment, a destiny only you could carry. But now, my child, time is pressing in. The season is about to shift. The moment is about to pass. I am still standing here, but my spirit is urging you. How long will you keep hesitating at a door that was never meant to be optional? This is not a decoration. It's a divine passage. I know you've been scared. I know you've been hurt before when you tried to trust. But this door is not like the others. This one leads to me and leads to the life you pray for, the bravery you long for, the freedom you were born for. But hesitation is no longer harmless. Every time you pause, the enemy whispers louder, the chains grow tighter, and the distance between us feels deeper. I'm not angry. I'm longing. I'm not disappointed. I'm desperate for you to step forward. The door I kept open just for you is not merely symbolic, it is prophetic, and you are dangerously close to missing the fullness of what I meant for you to walk in. Don't let fear rob you again. Don't let confusion paralyze you one more time. Don't let voices that don't know your destiny talk you out of it. I'm here, my hand still stretched toward you, but this hesitation must break. Not next week, not someday, right now. This is your permission to run through it. This is your confirmation. This is your moment to decide that enough is enough, that you're done standing on the edge, that you are ready to walk into all I've prepared, all I've promised, and all I've preserved with your name on it. But you must move now. You must choose. You must walk through. I have watched you hesitate at the door that I kept open just for you. Don't make me close it while your feet are still on the wrong side. Every time your heart ached and you couldn't explain why, that was me pulling you closer. In the middle of your distractions, when the noise around you got louder but something inside you grew quiet, that was my spirit stirring your soul, reminding you that you were made for more than this cycle you've gotten trapped in. I've whispered through sleepless nights, through moments of silence after the scroll ends, through tears you refuse to show anyone else. I've stirred something deep inside you, something sacred you couldn't put into words, a restlessness that no entertainment, no relationship, no possession could satisfy. Yet each time I knocked, each time I pulled, each time I poured conviction into your spirit and made my presence known, you delayed. You said later, you said tomorrow, you said when things settle down, when you have more time, when you feel more ready. But child, don't you see? Readiness never comes from your flesh. It is born in surrender. And the longer you postpone it, the harder your heart becomes. Not because you don't care, but because delay turns to spiritual numbness. You've convinced yourself that you're still in control of the timeline, that you can give me your heart when it's convenient. But I never asked for convenience. I asked for your surrender. Not a piece of your heart tucked away in private moments of guilt, but a full, unreserved laying down of your will. I've tugged gently over and over, not to condemn you, but to awaken you, to let you know that my mercy was still pursuing you even when you weren't pursuing me. But grace isn't forever silent. The tug you feel now is not just me calling, it's me warning. Because every postponement is a risk. Every delay is a gamble. The world will keep feeding your mind with excuses and temporary pleasures. But what I'm offering isn't temporary. It's eternal. Still, I will not force you. I love you too deeply to violate your will. That is why I'm here again, tugging not just at your feelings, but at the very core of your identity. I see what you hide. I know the mask you wear in front of others. I see the weariness behind your smile and the battles you fight alone. But if you keep postponing, if you keep telling yourself you'll respond when life calms down, you'll miss the appointed time I set aside for you to rise. Surrender is not about being perfect. It's about finally saying, I can't do this alone. It's about falling into my arms before the world makes you collapse. And the tug on your heart, that's the final call before the shift comes. That's the last beat before the rhythm of your life changes completely. Stop negotiating with grace. You've waited long enough. The pain you've been tolerating was never meant to be permanent. The tug isn't just for comfort, but for transformation. If you ignore it again, the silence that follows won't just be quiet. It will be heavy. I don't want to stop calling you. I don't want to stop reaching for you, but the time for decision is now, and the invitation won't repeat forever. You felt me tug at your heart, but you've kept postponing your surrender. This is your last moment to let go of control and fall into the safety of my plan before everything you delayed starts fading away. There comes a point in every journey where hesitation turns from harmless to harmful, where delay stops being an option and becomes a decision in itself. that point is now. The window that once stood wide open, full of grace, full of invitation, full of promise, is slowly narrowing. And though my love for you is endless, the season of invitation is not. You've been given time, more than most, more than you even deserved, because mercy has surrounded you like a shield, even when you weren't looking for it. But mercy does not mean there are no boundaries. You cannot live forever in the luxury of indecision and expect to inherit a destiny that requires action, surrender, and movement. Too many voices have tried to convince you that there's always tomorrow, that there's no urgency, that you can keep one foot in the world and one in my kingdom. But I'm telling you now, those voices were lies. This isn't fear speaking. This is clarity. This is truth. This is urgency born from my desperate desire to see you cross the threshold before the door closes behind you. You cannot afford to treat this as another message, another moment, another emotional push that fades with time. This is not meant to stir your feelings. It's meant to awaken your spirit. And if you don't listen now, the consequences will not be confusion. They will be silence. Not because I abandon you, but because your delay may place you outside the covering I had designed for this next move in your life. You've stood in between two worlds, wavering, compromising, reasoning with conviction like it's a suggestion instead of a command. In doing so, you've risked forfeiting what I've been preparing for you all along. The window is not just closing on opportunity. It's closing on divine timing, on an alignment that heaven orchestrated specifically for you. One misstep beyond this moment could cost you years. One refusal to act could delay not only your purpose, but the purpose of those assigned to you. Because your obedience is not just about you, it affects generations. It touches people you've never met. It unlocks blessings you can't yet see. Don't treat this like a vague prophecy meant for someone else. Don't scroll past my voice thinking there will be another chance, a better day, a safer season. This is the day. This is the moment. This is the breath between your current life and the one I destined for you. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because I see the spiritual hourglass and the final grains of sand are slipping through. If you only knew what was coming, both the beauty I've prepared and the shaking that's ahead, you would not waste another second trying to decide. I am still here. The window is still open, but don't let pride, fear, or distraction be the reason you miss what you were born to carry. Don't let regret be the only thing left when the opportunity fades. You're not too late yet. But you will be if you keep assuming you have more time. The window is closing, and this is not a warning you can afford to ignore. The distance between where you are and where I destined you to be is not as far as you think. It's not years away. It's not buried beneath impossible obstacles. It's not locked behind qualifications or achievements. It's right here, right now, hanging in the balance of a single decision to step forward. Heaven is not some unreachable place meant only for the perfect, the religious, or the strong. It was always meant for the willing. And even now, in this moment where everything in your life feels tangled and unclear, the reality of heaven's nearness hasn't changed. It's still within your reach. Not because you've done enough, but because I've already paid the price that tore the veil and built a bridge straight to my presence. But bridges are not meant to be admired from a distance. They are meant to be crossed. You cannot stay on the edge, looking at everything I've prepared for you and hoping it somehow reaches you without a move of faith. That next step, though it terrifies you, is the very key that unlocks what you've prayed for in silence. You say you want clarity, but clarity often follows obedience, not the other way around. You want proof before you move, but faith doesn't operate in reverse. It starts in trust. The step you're hesitating to take is not into the unknown, it's into what I already know. I've gone before you, I've prepared the path, but I will not drag you onto it. This has to be your choice. Heaven, my peace, my presence, my purpose, they are not only waiting for you, they are reaching for you. But they will not lower themselves to compete with your distractions. They will not stand beside the idols you refuse to let go. I am offering you everything. Joy that cannot be shaken, love that cannot be taken, healing that goes deeper than the wounds you forgot you had. But it only becomes yours when you step toward it. Half-hearted moves won't carry you into the fullness of what I've called you to. You have to cross the line. You have to burn the excuses. You have to stop standing at the edge of transformation with your arms crossed in hesitation. Time is running out, and this moment of mercy is not eternal. It's a gift, a divine appointment, a crack in the wall of your old life that allows light to pour in. But if you ignore it, it closes. Not because I want to withhold anything from you, but because delay reveals doubt, and doubt turns doors into walls. You were meant to walk in power, to live free, to experience the kingdom within you, not just believe in it from a distance. The healing you need is on the other side of surrender. The breakthrough you're begging for is on the other side of obedience. The peace you've tried to manufacture is on the other side of repentance. The calling you feel echoing inside your soul, it's not just a dream, it's a direction. Take the step, even if your voice trembles and your knees shake. Take the step, not because you understand everything, but because you trust that I do. This isn't about being ready, it's about being willing. You don't need more signs. You've already been flooded with them. You don't need more confirmation. I am the voice behind every one of them. Now you need to move. Don't let this moment slip into the pile of chances you never used. Don't let fear whisper that you're not ready. Don't let shame lie to you and say it's too late. Heaven is still within your reach, but only if you take this step now. You've stood at the crossroads long enough, weighing both paths as if they were equal, but they are not. One leads to life, the other to loss. One brings alignment with your divine purpose, the other leads you deeper into spiritual delay and disguised destruction. You don't need more time to decide. You need courage to choose. The illusion that this choice is small or temporary has kept you paralyzed. But in truth, what stands before you is eternal in consequence. This is not a seasonal shift. This is a spiritual turning point. Right now, in this very hour, you are standing on the edge of a decision that will define not just what happens next in your life, but what happens forever in your soul. This is more than preference or personal growth or trying to improve your habits. This is about surrender or separation. This is about whether you step into the light or remain entangled in shadows you've convinced yourself you can manage. But the shadows are growing thicker, and they don't compromise. They pull you slowly, subtly, until you can no longer hear my voice without effort, until what once convicted you begins to comfort you, and what once felt wrong begins to feel normal. That's the deception of delay. It doesn't look like rebellion, but it ends in ruin. You cannot keep playing with both sides, hoping grace will keep you safe while you postpone your response. Yes, I am merciful, but I am also holy. And this holy moment requires a holy response. Not tomorrow, not after one more night of indulgence, not after one more round of trying to figure it out on your own. You know what you need to do. I've made it unmistakably clear. I've confirmed it in ways only you would understand. In the quiet ache of your heart, in the restlessness of your mind, in the way the world has lost its taste and your soul keeps searching for something more. That's not a coincidence. That's me calling. And now, the call is louder than ever because this moment won't last forever. The longer you wait, the more you will drift. The more you drift, the harder it becomes to return. Every yes delayed is a no disguised in comfort. Every compromise tolerated is an agreement made with emptiness. But even now, right now, your story doesn't have to end in regret. You can change the direction of your life in one single obedient act. Say yes. Say yes to me, fully, finally, completely. You've tried your way long enough. You've leaned on your own understanding, depended on the approval of others, chased validation from places that only drained you. None of it worked, because none of it was me. I am not found in partial surrender or in carefully measured faith. I'm found in the moment where you fall to your knees and say, I can't do this anymore without you. That moment, that decision, unlocks the eternity I placed in your heart before you ever took your first breath. You were made for this moment. And though the edge looks scary, the unknown looks wide, and the cost looks high, I promise you, what's waiting on the other side of this decision will make every fear you conquer worth it. But you have to step, you have to choose, and you have to do it now. Because there is one decision that will define your eternity, and you are standing on its edge. There was a time when your prayers reached me with sincerity. Pleas for more time, more clarity, more grace, and I answered them because I saw your heart, even when it was confused. I gave you the space you needed to wrestle, to think, to wander a little, hoping you would use that delay not as a hiding place, but as a place of preparation. But now, even time itself is leaning toward you, calling out and pleading with your soul to stop stalling and start choosing. You've prayed, God, give me more time. And I did. I extended hours that weren't promised, stretched days you didn't earn, softened consequences you should have faced, just so you could come to me without shame. I made time pause for your sake, not because I had to, but because I loved you. But time is not eternal for decision-making. There is a clock in the spirit realm ticking down moments of opportunity. And while you've looked at your life thinking you still have plenty of space, heaven sees that you are standing at the edge of an appointed hour that will not return. You've misread the silence as absence, but the silence has been sacred, an invitation for you to come closer without distraction. But now that silence has turned to urgency, because every delay is making it harder for you to hear, harder for you to feel, harder for you to respond. Your heart isn't as tender as it once was. Conviction that once stirred you now fades within minutes. You scroll past divine messages, you numb the ache in your chest with empty distractions, you pretend like everything can wait, but time is praying for you now. Creation is groaning, heaven is leaning in, angels are holding their breath, not because you are lost forever, but because you are so close and yet still unwilling to step. What more do you want me to say that I haven't already said? What other sign do you need that I haven't already given? You've seen me move. You've felt my spirit hover over you. You've heard my words spoken in ways too specific to be random, and still you hesitate. But this moment isn't just about you anymore. Your assignment is attached to your yes. There are people waiting for the ripple of your obedience. There are doors that won't open until you walk through this one. And if you don't respond now, the consequence will be loud. It will be subtle, a drifting, a dullness, a settling into a life you were never meant to live. I don't want that for you. That's why I'm pressing in again, through this message, through these words, through the ache you feel, even now reading this. It's me still reaching, still bleeding, still waiting, but I cannot wait forever. Time is not your enemy, but it's not your servant either. You were not given these moments to squander them in delay or spiritual sleep. Time is not the answer to your indecision. Surrender is. And the clock is speaking now in rhythms your soul can feel, even if your mind tries to silence it. Heaven has not forgotten you, but heaven is watching, waiting for the sound of your yes. You've prayed for more time, But now time is praying for you to decide. Peace has never been something you stumble into by accident. It is not found in the next phase of life, the next achievement, or the next relationship. You've been hoping that if you wait long enough, circumstances will calm down, stress will disappear, emotions will stabilize, and then somehow, peace will arrive like a gift wrapped in calm. But peace was never meant to be a place you arrive at. It is a person you pursue. You've been chasing comfort in all the wrong directions, thinking that if everything aligns perfectly, you'll finally breathe freely. But the truth is, life rarely aligns the way you expect, and waiting for peace to find you has only left you emptier and more exhausted. You were not meant to survive in cycles of stress, tension, and pretending to be okay. That's not strength, it's silent suffering, and I've seen every moment of it. I've watched you cry in rooms filled with people. I've heard the heaviness in your laugh and the weight behind your silence. I've witnessed you smile while breaking inside, all while hoping peace would just appear and take the pain away. But peace doesn't show up when you avoid me. Peace enters the room when you press into me, even when your knees are trembling. I am not a distant promise. I am your ever-present help, the anchor in your chaos, the whisper in your storm. You keep asking for peace like it's a prize to be earned, but I have always been available, waiting for you to run, not walk, to me. The longer you wait, the louder the world becomes and the more distorted your perspective grows. That's why confusion has started sounding like logic and fear has started to feel like wisdom. But confusion is not your portion. Fear is not your inheritance. You were made for clarity, for boldness, for truth, and all of that begins with me. Peace will never walk into a heart that is closed to my presence. You can light every candle, read every book, listen to every calming song, and still feel like you're drowning. Because peace isn't in rituals, it's in relationship. And the relationship is only activated when you stop running from me and start running toward me. You've been surviving for too long when I designed you to thrive. You've been managing chaos when I called you to walk in calm authority. But that shift won't happen by accident. It won't come by simply hoping things get better. It will come when you collapse into my arms and stop trying to carry burdens I never asked you to lift. Peace is not the absence of trouble. It's the presence of me in the middle of it. The world won't tell you this, but I will. You don't need to wait for things to get easier before you come to me. You come to me and things begin to align, not always externally, but internally, because the real war is inside. And I'm ready to speak "be still" into the parts of you that haven't rested in years. You've waited long enough. You've begged for peace to arrive, but now it's time for you to move. Time to pursue me like your life depends on it, because it does. I am not far from you. I'm right here. I'm the calm you've been craving, the stillness your soul is starving for. But I won't force my way into your chaos. You have to invite me in. You have to make the decision to stop trying to fix everything alone and come back to the one who holds everything together. Don't wait for peace to come to you. Run to the one who is peace. Distraction isn't always loud, obvious, or destructive at first glance. Sometimes it looks like small delays, tiny compromises, a little more scrolling, one more excuse, a few more hours lost to things that offer no real return. That is exactly how the enemy works. He doesn't always show up with chaos. Sometimes he shows up with comfort. He knows he can't destroy what I've placed in you, so instead, he tries to delay it, water it down, and divide your attention until your purpose becomes blurry and your urgency fades into apathy. You felt this without even realizing it. The days that seemed to slip away, the energy you gave to things that numbed your heart, the decisions you avoided making because they required surrender. All of it designed not just to distract you from my voice, but to rob you of your moment. What's about to happen is too significant for you to be spiritually asleep. There's a shift taking place, and heaven is aligning things in your favor. But if you remain tangled in what does not matter, you will miss the doors I've opened just for you. The enemy knows how close you are to breakthrough, and that is why the distractions have increased. He's not threatened by the past version of you, but he is terrified of what happens if you finally say yes to me with your whole heart. He trembles at the thought of your full surrender because he knows the chain reaction it will set off. That's why your mind has felt more cluttered lately, why your motivation has felt unstable, why your prayer life has felt harder to maintain. He's not just distracting you to waste time, he's trying to drain your spiritual strength so you don't have the clarity to respond when I call. But I'm clearing the fog now. I'm uncovering the deception. Every small distraction that seemed harmless is exposed for what it is, a tactic meant to keep you from what is holy, necessary, and now. You cannot fight what you refuse to recognize. You cannot walk forward if your hands are full of what I've told you to let go. I am not calling you into busyness. I'm calling you into focus. And that means severing the ties that keep pulling you backward, unplugging from voices that speak fear more than faith, and setting your eyes back on me. This isn't about guilt, it's about awakening, because what I'm about to release in your life won't wait for you to catch up. The doors I'm opening will require preparation, attention, and obedience. You can't carry old distractions into a new season. You can't expect fresh oil to be poured into vessels that are already full of noise. So choose what matters, cut away what's wasting you, and turn down the volume of the world so you can finally hear the clarity that's been waiting for you. I am not far, I am near, but I will not compete with what you allow to dominate your heart. You have the authority to shut the doors the enemy is using to keep you disconnected. Use it. Rise in your focus, because what's coming requires your full attention. The enemy wants nothing more than for you to miss what I'm about to do. The enemy wants you distracted so you miss what's about to happen. But today, you see it. Now decide what you're willing to lay down so you can rise into everything I've been preparing. Perfection has never been the requirement. Pace, and yet it's the lie that's kept you frozen for so long. The idea that you have to be spotless before you can be used, flawless before you can be loved, completely healed before you can be called. But that's not the gospel, and that's not what I've ever asked of you. I see how hard you've tried to keep it all together, thinking that your value is tied to your performance, believing that until you get everything right, you're not worthy to come closer. But I'm not standing here waiting for your perfection. I'm waiting for your permission. Not permission for me to love you, I already do, but permission to move in your life without the resistance of your pride, your guilt, or your self-condemnation. I never called you to be perfect. I called you to be real. I called you to come as you are, with the wounds still bleeding, the doubts still stirring, the mess still visible, and simply say, "Here I am." That's what surrender is. Not a performance, not a presentation, just your yes. But somewhere along the way, you started believing that I only use the strong, the disciplined, the ones who seem to have it all together. You see others who seem bold, confident, unshaken, and you assume they've never battled what you're battling now. But you don't see the secret surrender that took place in their private battles. The moments they dropped everything just to fall at my feet and say, "I need you." That's where power began, not in striving, but in surrender. The enemy has been feeding you shame, disguised as humility, telling you to wait until you fixed yourself before you come to me. But you can't fix what I was always meant to heal. You can't cleanse what only my blood can wash. You can't climb your way out of what you need to lay down. And every moment you spend trying to be perfect before coming to me is a moment wasted in silence, distance, and weariness. I never asked for polished prayers or flawless faith. I asked for an open heart, a heart that says, even if I'm still struggling, I choose you. That's what moves heaven. That's what breaks chains. That's what opens doors. Surrender is not about giving me your best moments. It's about giving me your real ones. It's when you admit you can't carry the weight anymore, and instead of pretending, you finally place it in my hands. I don't flinch at your weakness. I cover it. I don't retreat from your sin. I redeem it. I don't reject your flaws. I wrap them in grace and begin transforming you from the inside out. But it starts with surrender. And surrender starts when you stop trying to earn what was already freely given. I'm not waiting for you to become the version of yourself you wish you were. I'm calling the version you are right now, because I can work with honest. I can move through broken. I can anoint surrender more than I can ever bless perfect. You've delayed for too long because you believed the lie that you had to be clean to be close. But I'm telling you now, come close and I will make you clean. Stop exhausting yourself trying to qualify for something I already chose you for. The doorway is not perfection. It is surrender, and you can walk through it right now. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for your surrender. Every time you hesitate, every time you choose safety over obedience, every time you talk yourself out of the step you know you were meant to take, something sacred inside you is quietly being drained. Not all loss looks like disaster. Some of the most tragic losses happen in slow, invisible leaks. You think you are simply waiting, thinking things through, being cautious. But what's really happening is that your calling is being thinned, diluted by indecision, poisoned by the lies that tell you later is safe. Destiny isn't always stolen in a moment. It often dies in delay. You were created for impact, but impact requires motion. And without it, the fire I placed inside you becomes smoke, the vision becomes blurred, and the voice that once burned in your soul gets drowned out by the distractions you keep justifying. The dreams I planted in you are not dead, but they are gasping for air under the weight of your delays. You don't see it fully now, but the longer you wait, the more you begin to adapt to the life you were never meant to settle for. You begin to normalize disappointment, accept spiritual apathy, and slowly stop expecting more from me. Not because I stopped offering it, but because you stopped reaching for it. This is the bleeding I'm talking about, the quiet decay of destiny when obedience is postponed. And it's not that you meant to walk away. You told yourself you were just pausing. You told yourself you were being careful, praying for the right time. But deep down, you know the right time was the moment you first felt the conviction. You knew you heard me. You felt the pull. But fear disguised itself as logic, and the more you listened to it, the more you lost momentum. And now here you are, drained. Not because you're weak, but because you're carrying what I told you to release and avoiding what I called you to run toward. The internal exhaustion, that restlessness you can't explain, that numbness that creeps in when you think about your purpose. It's the result of a soul that's been bleeding from spiritual hesitation. And still, I haven't turned my face away. I haven't taken your calling back. I haven't closed the door, but it's narrowing, and I'm urging you to step through before you lose the strength to respond. Your delay is costing you opportunities you can't even see yet. Conversations you were meant to have, people you were meant to reach, places you were meant to go. Every moment matters, because every second carries weight in eternity. I don't say this to shame you. I say it because I don't want to see what I created in you wasted in cycles of regret. You still have time. You still have me. But you can't keep bleeding destiny and expect to feel fulfilled. You weren't made to survive life. You were made to walk in the full power of the assignment I've written over your life. And that begins not with perfection, but with movement. You don't have to know every step. You just have to stop waiting and take the one I'm pointing to. Trust that I will meet you there. Trust that I will heal what hesitation has harmed. Trust that obedience will restore what delay has drained. But act now. Move now. Decide now. Your delay is costing you more than you realize. It's bleeding your destiny dry. You keep thinking there will be another moment like this, another opportunity that looks the same, feels the same, carries the same weight, but there won't be. Moments like this are not recycled. They are sovereign, stitched into eternity, unique in purpose, and they carry a divine urgency that cannot be replicated. You are standing in a now that heaven designed for your awakening. If you let it pass, you may find yourself searching for something that no longer exists in the same form. You don't realize the gravity of this hour because it feels ordinary on the outside, but in the spirit realm, everything is trembling. The veil between delay and destiny is thinner than ever, and what you do right here, right now, determines whether you walk forward or stay stuck in cycles that only know how to repeat pain. You have been given grace after grace, but grace doesn't mean every opportunity waits forever. You've prayed for God to move, and now He is, but not in the way you expected. He's not coming with flashing signs or the feeling of being completely ready. He's moving in the silence, the stirring, the pull you feel in your chest that you've been trying to ignore. That's not anxiety. It's the sound of time announcing that it's about to move forward, with or without your decision. Doors don't always slam when they close. Sometimes they just slowly swing shut, unnoticed, until you reach for them again and realize they're sealed. And while I never leave you, I cannot guarantee that this exact alignment of time, spirit, and calling will come again. That's why the enemy wants you numb right now. That's why he's using distractions and doubts and spiritual fatigue to convince you that this isn't urgent. But it is, more than you know. Because the moment you're in isn't just about what's happening around you, it's about what heaven is trying to do within you. You're being invited into a shift that could reroute your entire life, a divine detour from everything that's been draining you into something that breathes life into places you forgot existed. But if you hesitate again, if you let this moment slip through your fingers because you're waiting for certainty or perfection, for validation from people who don't even know the calling on your life, you may wake up one day and realize that what was meant to be your launch point became your greatest regret. You'll remember this hour not because of what happened, but because of what you didn't do. And I don't want that for you. I've brought you too far, whispered too many truths, and covered you through too many storms for you to miss this. The next chapter I've written requires your yes now, not a version of you with all the answers, but the version of you that's finally ready to say, I won't let this pass me by. This isn't about forcing yourself to feel brave. It's about trusting me enough to move, even while afraid. This moment is sacred. It's heavy with promise, and it will not linger. Don't hold it with open hands and then watch it fall away because of fear. Don't let comfort lie to you and say, next time. There may not be a next time like this. This moment is not coming back once it slips through your fingers. So hold it, honor it, respond to it now. The tension you can't explain, that subtle stirring inside of you when everything goes quiet, that sense that something more is tugging at your heart even while your life looks the same on the surface, that's not coincidence. That's me. That's the echo of your true identity trying to break through the surface of what you've been pretending to be. You've become used to hiding, adapting, molding yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain you. You've mastered the art of smiling through battles, appearing steady while storms rage within, performing strength in rooms that never earned your vulnerability. But I see through all of it. I see you, the real you. And I know that deep beneath the layers of exhaustion, pride, fear, and defense, there's a soul crying to be seen, to be known, to be free. That pull you feel when you're alone, the ache that rises when the noise fades, it's your spirit responding to my call. I am not asking you to be louder or to be bolder for show or to rise in the eyes of others. I am calling you to step out of hiding, not to shame you, but to heal you. I've watched you keep parts of yourself in the shadows, believing they were too broken to be seen, too complicated to be understood, too damaged to be used. But what you've hidden from the world, I already knew, and I've been calling you into the light, not to expose you, but to restore you. Because nothing gets healed in the dark, nothing transforms in secrecy. The enemy wants you to stay covered in half-truths and silent suffering, because as long as you remain in hiding, your true power is locked away. But I have not called you to a life of quiet despair and spiritual fragmentation. I've called you to step into the fullness of who I created you to be. Bold, not boastful. Free, not fearful. Restored, not rehearsed. That means pulling back the curtain and coming into the open. That means confronting what you've suppressed, facing what you've avoided, surrendering what you've refused to name. The darkness will always promise you safety, but it can never offer healing. Only the light does that, and I am the light. I'm not afraid of what you're hiding. I'm not ashamed of the parts you've buried. I'm not intimidated by your brokenness. I'm drawn to it because I know that the greatest testimonies are born from the places you thought were beyond repair. You've believed the lie that coming into the light means judgment, but I am not calling you out to shame you. I'm calling you out because I want to clothe you in grace, arm you with truth, and send you into purpose that was waiting for you to stop pretending. There is a power you have yet to walk in, because it lives outside the shadows. And now is the time. You don't need to be ready, you just need to be willing. Take the step, say the truth, cry the tears, lift your face toward me. I will not turn away, I will meet you in the light. Because you feel the pull in your spirit for a reason. I am calling you out of the shadows into a freedom that can't exist where you're hiding. This is the moment where compromise must end, because no matter how much light you're exposed to, you can't truly walk in it if you're still tethered to the very darkness you've been called out from. You've tried to straddle both sides, to keep one foot in the comfort of your old patterns and the other reaching toward freedom, but it's not working, and deep down, you know it. The tension you're feeling isn't random. It's the fracture of a divided soul trying to serve two masters, carry two identities, and keep two stories alive at once. But light and darkness cannot coexist. One must give way to the other. And the longer you cling to what I already told you to release, the more you suffocate the brightness I'm trying to lead you into. I haven't called you into partial transformation. I've called you to full surrender. Not because I demand control, but because I know how darkness works. It doesn't ask for your whole life at once. It asks for a little compromise here, a small lie there, a tolerated habit, an ignored conviction. Slowly it takes hold, and before you realize it, your heart starts adjusting to what once made you tremble. But you weren't meant to live in spiritual confusion. You weren't designed to dim your fire so others feel more comfortable. I set you apart for more, and the more can only be found when you stop negotiating with shadows. You can't hear my voice clearly when you're still lending your ear to the whispers of your old life. You can't walk boldly when your ankles are chained to guilt you were never meant to carry. And you can't shine with purity when your hands are still reaching for things you know are pulling you back. This is your line in the sand moment. I'm not asking for perfection, but I am requiring honesty. You have to choose. The light is calling, but it won't drag you. It's a door that opens when you let go of what's behind you. And I know letting go is hard. I know those habits brought you comfort. Those connections gave you false identity. Those sins masked your wounds. But I didn't create you to survive with bandages. I came to heal you completely. And that healing begins the moment you release the darkness. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. You need to break agreement with it. Cut the tie, renounce the lie, walk away, even if your knees shake and your voice cracks. I will meet you in the light, but you must make the move, because light will not mix with what you conceal. You keep wondering why you feel spiritually numb, why your prayers feel heavy, why your joy feels blocked. But how can I pour living water into a heart that still welcomes poison? It's time to choose. Let this be the moment you finally say, no more. No more compromise, no more hiding, no more pretending you can manage what's meant to be destroyed. Let darkness fall from your life like chains shattered by truth. Let clarity return. Let peace rush in. But it will only come when you drop the hand of what's been holding you back. You can't walk in light while still holding hands with darkness. And right now, I'm offering you the strength to let go. You keep asking why the breakthrough hasn't come yet. Why the prayers you've whispered in tears feel unanswered. Why the promises you're holding on to still feel distant. And the truth is, it's not because I haven't heard you or that I've changed my mind. It's because the very things you've allowed to stay in your life, the compromises you thought were harmless, the excuses you've built around your wounds, the patterns you've normalized, have become the very walls blocking the flow of what I'm trying to release. You don't see how small concessions have slowly added up, how the little things you tolerated in secret have become spiritual barriers in the unseen. Every time you said, it's just one more time, or it's not that big a deal, or I'll deal with it later, you gave ground to the very forces that are now standing between you and the breakthrough you desperately need. I am not withholding from you. I am not teasing you with distant blessings. I am trying to clear a path, but I won't force my way through what you've chosen to keep. Your breakthrough is not on pause because of me. It's paused because you've made agreements with things that are out of alignment with where I'm taking you. That hidden habit, that unrepented sin, that bitter grudge you refuse to let go of, that voice you keep listening to even though it pulls you away from me, those are not small. They are the very chains anchoring you in delay. You say you're waiting on me, but I've been waiting on you to tear down the altars you built in the name of comfort and call them what they are, idols. And I don't say this to condemn you. I say it to awaken you. Because every compromise you let live is robbing you of what I died to give you. You were meant to walk in freedom, in clarity, in power. But power can't flow through a vessel filled with contradiction. You can't expect the fullness of heaven while still giving the enemy access to the back door of your heart. I know some of your compromises came from pain, from seasons where you didn't know how to cope, from moments where survival felt like the only option. I understand that. I've seen it. But now I'm calling you higher. I'm calling you out. Not because I want to take something from you, but because I want to give something to you. And your hands must be empty to receive it. You cannot carry your breakthrough and your compromise at the same time. Something has to be dropped. And only one leads to the freedom you've been crying out for in silence. I will give you the strength to break what you think you're too weak to release. I will give you the grace to heal from what once held you hostage, but I will not force it. This is your moment to say enough. to choose breakthrough over bondage, to say, I'm done settling for less when God has promised more. Because it is ready, it is near. Your obedience is the key. Let go of what's blocking you. Tear down what's standing in the way. Burn the bridges to compromise and watch the fire become your altar. Every compromise you've made is standing in the way of your breakthrough. But your breakthrough is still possible if you're willing to give me everything. There's a reason people have been walking away, why certain doors have closed, why opportunities you thought were yours suddenly vanished. It's not because I'm withholding something from you or punishing you for your past. It's because I'm protecting what I've placed inside you. You see loss, but I see preservation. You feel rejection, but I see redirection. I am removing access to the parts of your life that can no longer go with you where I am taking you. You've prayed for elevation, for peace, for clarity, for destiny. But all of those require separation. You can't walk in divine purpose while dragging along weights I've called you to lay down. Some of the voices you're missing were never meant to speak into your future. Some of the places you're longing to return to were only meant to be temporary assignments, not permanent homes. And if I didn't separate you, you'd still be clinging to environments that numb your faith and suffocate your growth. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels like loneliness at times. But I am more concerned with your calling than your comfort. I am after the purity of your purpose. And that means pulling you out of rooms where your spirit was slowly being poisoned by comparison, compromise, and spiritual distraction. You've mistaken connection for covering. Not every relationship is covenant. Not every open door is divine. Some of what you called favor was actually a trap to keep you stuck in cycles that looked like success but led to spiritual dryness. So I'm cutting the ties, not to hurt you, but to heal you. I know the voices you're missing feel familiar, but I need you to stop grieving what I've already removed for your protection. I didn't call you to be understood by everyone. I didn't choose you so you could blend in. I chose you so you could rise, even if that rise means walking alone for a season. This wilderness is preparation. It's the wilderness before the release. It's where I strip away what's false and strengthen what's true. It's where I isolate you, not to break you down, but to build you up without interference. I am removing distractions disguised as loyalty. I'm clearing noise that's been masquerading as support, because what's coming next requires sharper discernment, deeper roots, and undivided attention. You can't bring old baggage into new battles. You can't carry old voices into new seasons. The higher you go, the more narrow the path becomes. And I'm asking you to trust me with the losses, with the unanswered questions, with the relationships that ended without closure. I am in control, even in the pruning, even in the silence, even when it looks like you've been forgotten. You haven't. You're being protected. I see the attacks forming in the distance, and I shield you before you even know they exist. That's why certain things didn't work out. That's why I made the exit look like failure when it was really favor. Don't fight to stay where grace has already lifted. Don't run back to what I've called you out from. What you lost in comfort, you will gain in clarity. And what I remove, I will always replace with something greater. Something aligned with your anointing, not your old identity. I am separating you, not to punish, but to protect you. And if you trust me in the separation, you'll see that what felt like loss was actually the start of your breakthrough. You say you want freedom. You say you're ready to walk into everything I've planned for you, but your fists are still closed around things I told you to release. People, patterns, habits, identities, memories, and expectations that were never meant to be permanent. You cannot rise while holding on to weights that were never yours to carry. You cannot soar while anchored to what you've refused to surrender. I see how tightly you're gripping that relationship, that opportunity, that version of yourself you thought you had to become in order to be loved or accepted. But it's those very things, those emotional attachments and spiritual entanglements, that are binding you to yesterday and keeping you from stepping into your now. I've whispered to your heart, nudged your spirit, and stirred your conscience, but still you hold on, convinced that if you let go, you will fall. But what you don't see is that the fall you fear is actually the release your soul has been crying for. Letting go is not failure, it's faith. It's the sacred decision to say, even if it hurts, even if it's hard, I'd rather be in your will empty-handed than outside of it while holding on to what's slowly killing me. You weren't created to cling to comfort or to idolize control. You were made to move with me, to shift when I say shift, to release when I say release, to open your hands and trust that what I place in them next will be better than what you've been clutching in fear. The thing you're holding on to is feeding your anxiety, draining your peace, clouding your clarity, and yet you keep convincing yourself you need it. But child, if it was truly from me, it wouldn't require you to constantly sacrifice your joy, your identity, and your sanity to maintain it. I don't bless you with burdens. I don't anoint you to be enslaved to what I never assigned to you. And deep down, you know this. You felt the shift. You sense that what once fit no longer feels right. You've seen the signs. I've made it clear. But every time you come to the edge of release, fear talks you out of it. You imagine the pain of absence more than the peace of obedience. But I'm calling you higher now, and that climb requires letting go. This is the place shake and your voice trembles. Don't wait for the words to feel easy. Release them when they feel urgent. Don't bury the word just because others don't understand the weight of it. When I give you something to say, it's not about popularity, it's about obedience. You may not get applause, you may not get agreement, but if you speak with courage, you'll have heaven's backing. Your silence might feel like protection now, but it will feel like regret later. There are assignments attached to your voice, miracles on the other side of your obedience, generations that will rise because of a sentence you chose to release instead of suppress. Stop overthinking it. Stop rehearsing the fears. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. If the word is in you now, then now is the moment to let it out. I will fill in the gaps. I will anoint the sound. I will take your trembling yes and turn it into transformation. But I can't move through what you won't speak. This is your time. You don't need a crowd. You need conviction. You don't need perfection. You need surrender. And you don't need another sign. You already know the weight of what's in your spirit to speak. Even if your voice cracks, even if your circle shrinks, even if no one claps, speak because it's holy. Speak because it's timely. Speak because your silence is no longer an option. If you stay silent now, you'll regret what you could have spoken in faith. So open your mouth and let me fill it. There's a window in time that I've opened before you, a divine door that wasn't earned by effort but granted by grace, and you're standing right in front of it. You've prayed for opportunity, longed for clarity, asked me to show you what's next, and here it is, swinging open in front of you, waiting for your obedience to match the invitation. But this door is not ornamental, and it's not eternal. It is holy, but it is not guaranteed to remain open if you choose hesitation over movement. I've placed you here with intention at this precise moment in your journey, not to test your emotions, but to align your spirit with what I've already released in heaven. This is your opening. This is the shift. This is the chance you didn't think would come again, and I need you to feel the weight of that. Not so you panic, but so you choose wisely. Because delay isn't neutral anymore. Indecision is no longer harmless. You are standing in a divine moment, and what you do next has the power to unlock what generations before you only dreamed of. But it requires action, and more than that, it requires faith that moves beyond comfort. You cannot linger in the hallway of what if while expecting me to wait forever. I don't say that to threaten you. I say it to awaken you, because too many of my children wait for open doors and stare at them so long they forget to walk through. They pray, they weep, they plead, but when the moment arrives, they freeze. But I didn't bring you to this moment to freeze. I brought you to move. You don't need all the details. You don't need every step mapped out. You need to trust the one who opened the door and believe that if I led you here, I'll carry you through it. This door leads to more than just blessing. It leads to responsibility, to deeper surrender, to calling, to impact. And it won't always be easy, but it will always be worth it. Still, you must know, if you walk away now, if you let this pass, it may not swing open again in the same way. I will never leave you, but some doors are tied to timing, and the timing is now. That's why the tension is heavier. That's why your spirit feels stirred in ways it hasn't before. I've made this moment unmistakably clear, not because I want you to panic, but because I want you to prepare. There's nothing holding you back except your own fear. There's no obstacle in your way except the chains you refuse to drop. And the longer you wait, the louder the enemy's voice will become, feeding your doubt, clouding your faith, convincing you that it's not worth it. But it is. But I won't drag you through it. I'll only invite you. Everything I've promised is on the other side of this door. Everything I've been cultivating in the hidden place is ready to be released. And this is the invitation. Not to analyze, not to delay, but to step forward. The door is open now, but it won't stay open forever. What you do next is sacred. You've convinced yourself that you're still in a waiting season, still preparing, still praying, still hoping that I will move, open, speak, shift, or send. But the truth is, I already have. I've moved, I've spoken, I've revealed what you needed to know. I've opened the path. I've stirred your spirit. The delay you feel isn't me withholding. It's you hesitating. It's the weight of your indecision cloaked in spiritual language. You're not waiting on me anymore. I'm waiting on you. I've been ready. I've been near. I've been drawing you in, leading you with conviction, surrounding you with confirmation, aligning circumstances, stirring dreams, softening your heart, and yet still you've paused. You've kept one foot in and one foot out, calling it discernment when it's really fear, calling it patience when it's really pride, calling it wisdom when it's really worry dressed as logic. But I see the truth. I see how many times you've been on the edge of surrender, how many nights you've lain awake knowing exactly what I asked of you, how many times you've told yourself, tomorrow I'll begin, only to return to the cycle of delay that's numbed your passion and silenced your purpose. This moment is not about me moving, it's about you choosing. I'm not holding back anything. The fullness of what I've promised is still alive, still waiting, still reserved with your name on it. But it cannot be delivered to a heart that refuses to commit. You asked for change, for healing, for breakthrough. But those things don't fall randomly. They follow decisions. Decisions made in faith, not in fear. Decisions birthed in surrender, not self-protection. You can't hold on to your comfort and expect to walk in your calling. You can't keep saying you trust me with your lips while your hands stay clenched around the very things I've asked you to release. I'm not angry. I'm grieved because I see the glory waiting for you. I see the chains that would fall if you'd only move. I see the people who would be set free if you'd say yes. And I see how long you've convinced yourself that I was still deciding, still orchestrating, still making a way, when really I finished the preparation long ago. I'm not deciding. I've already chosen you. I'm not uncertain. I'm unwavering. And now I'm not asking for more prayers, more fasting, more signs. I'm asking for action, for obedience, for your decision. Because every time you say you're waiting on me, you're missing the truth. I am waiting on you. And every second you delay, the cost increases. Not because I'm cruel, but because every moment matters in this divine timeline. I will always love you. I will never leave you. My child, if this message stirred your soul, it's because I stirred you through it. What you just heard wasn't meant to end here. It was meant to begin something eternal inside of you. Don't let this be a fleeting feeling. Don't scroll into numbness. Come back to this place often, because each word released here is not entertainment, it's alignment. This is your well in the wilderness, your fire in the silence, your reminder that I am still calling you higher. So subscribe, not for routine, but for renewal. Turn on notification, not out of habit, but out of hunger. Share this with someone who's standing at their own door of destiny, because your obedience might be their awakening. And return here, week after week, because I am not finished speaking. I am not finished stirring. I am not finished with you. Every message here is a continuation of the mercy you just felt. So come back, not just to hear, but to be transformed. I'll be waiting for your yes again and again, until it becomes a life fully surrendered. Amen.